Church, we got work to do. We got work to do because for far too long, we so-called Christians, those who are belonging to the church, the body of Christ, for far too long we have misrepresented and abused our calling and neglected what God has called us to do when it comes to loving the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And we have put a conditional clause where God didn't mean a conditional clause to exist. Sure, a lot of us, we say, yeah, we love God, or we're doing our best to love God. Good. So the vertical relationship is there, but I'm asking them, what about the horizontal then? Because for far too long, we put a conditional clause on loving our neighbor. We'll love our neighbor if they're a good neighbor. We'll love our neighbor if they're easy to love. We'll love our neighbor if their political alignment and agenda align with ours. We'll love our neighbor if, and we fill in the blank with whatever ifs we want. But God never said, love your neighbor if this and then do that. No, he said, love your neighbor. We as the church, we as Christians, we have unfortunately marginalized further the marginalized. We have persecuted those who are already being persecuted. And we are turning away from those who need to be turned towards the love of Christ. And if anything, we have epically failed as the church. So I want to ask you, will you take upon that calling? Will you be ready to get to work? Because Jesus said, go and make disciples of all nations. He didn't just say, go and make disciples of those who you want to make disciples of. He didn't just say, go and be friends with those who you only want to be friends with. No, of all nations, all people. And so, church, let's stop putting a conditional clause. Let's stop putting an asterisk around those who we don't want to save. Let's be real with ourselves. We are the greatest of sinners first and foremost. We have spent too much time judging the speck of dust in our neighbor's eye than judging the plank in our own. We have become professionals at maximizing the sin of others while minimizing our own sin. So this needs to stop. And it stops with me. It stops with you. It stops with us right now. Church, we got work to do. And for far too long, we have misrepresented Christ as his Christians, and we have abused the gospel freedom that we have been gifted through the crucifixion as in resurrection. So let's stop holding the gospel back from those who need it, because God never held it back from us. So let's do the work that God has called us to do. Let's get it.